Good morning. We are live. I was waiting on the thing to come up. Thank you for coming on. I am Michelle O'Connor, your business growth strategist, and we are going on to day 23 of our business growth challenge. And our aim is to help you to have your strategic plans, your business action plan, your business growth plan ready before Christmas holidays. So when you enter 2026, you know exactly what you're focusing on. Now, if you haven't realized, if you're watching live, we have one more week before Christmas, next week, and then the following week is Christmas. And I want you to go off and enjoy your holidays, knowing exactly what you're going to be focusing on. So I have an accountability partner, and yesterday we met to present our own growth plans to, scrutinize, ask questions, give feedback, just to know what we need to do. And one of the things for me that jumped out that I want to share with you is how seamless life becomes once you have your plan documented. I know exactly the number I'm going after. I know exactly what activities I'm going to be doing. I don't have to guess and spell. I don't have to think about it. It's almost like this morning, we're having snow today, heavy snow. And I woke up and I'm like, outside is white. I don't feel like going to the gym. But what ended up happening was I prepare for the gym. So I had everything was out, my water bottle, my gym bag, my clothes, you name it. So even though in my mind I'm thinking I don't feel like going, because I had already prepared for it, I didn't have a lot of work to do. And as I think about us as entrepreneurs, that's one of the things that having a plan does. You no longer have to think about what to do. So as I talk about completing my plan and going into 2026, I don't have to wake up every day and wonder, what am I going to be focusing on? I know exactly what I'm going to be doing, and I know what support I need. I like everything is worked out. So it takes out the guessing game from doing the work. So that's why we're here. If you're joining, as usual, I encourage you to drop in the comments where you're joining from and the type of business that you have. Now today we're ending the 3 days. If you're just joining us, what we've been doing over the past 3 days is talking about how to plan. And the how to plan is important because of this. I'm going to show you an image. It became necessary for me because I have had experiences where managers, board executives have months of meetings to develop a plan, and there's a 1 day or a few hours where you meet with your managers and you hand the plan over to them, but they're not clear. They don't know the steps that they need to take to move this from where where you ended to where it needs to be. And I've been just having conversations and giving you some tools and strategies that you can use as leaders to support your CEOs and your founders more. Or even if you're the CEO and the founder, these are short videos that you can share with your managers to say, okay, we have completed the legwork of the plan, we've developed our goals, we know our initiatives. No, it's time to take it to the next level. And I want you to be cognizant of that, because when we talk about execution failing, I think a lot of times persons forget that a reason execution fails is because the people fail. And the people don't fail because they don't want to do the work. They fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because this thing is new. You hired someone who I would say is a good worker. However, when you're talking about being a leader, it's a little bit more than that. You need someone who is able to take things to the next level. And in organizations, that's a huge gap. You're promoting the person who is doing the most work, but when you promote them to a manager, the skills that it takes for you to be a manager and to be an employee, an agent, a person doing the work, those are two completely different things. And we tend to forget that. And we expect the doer to be the thinker. It doesn't work like that. So I want to share with you just how it is that you can uplevel your managers. And that's what we've been doing over the past few days. So I have said before that I believe that this is the reason execution fails, and I stick with it. The gap. The CEO completes the plan, like it's all there. The machine, everything is well thought out and figured out and we know what we're doing. But the reason it can't land with your managers is that there's a gap. And the gap is, I don't understand how to plan. You have said increase sales. And yes, with no one, we believe that this target is doable. However, what are the things that I need to do now to get it to the next, to ensure that we achieve the goal? And this is a gap that exists in many, many organizations. And I want to help you to fill those gaps. So today is the last day of the 3 days. We're still on our 20 or 30-day challenge. Today is just day 23, not just day 23. Today is day 23. We've gone more than halfway, so we're happy about that. Yesterday, I kind of went ahead and I shared this with you because the last thing I want to share with you is when you have received the goal and you know what you're going after, you've then ensured that you've answered all the questions. We went through a lot of questions yesterday that you can ask while you're in those meetings to ensure that you have clarity. Now you want to prioritize and identify any potential risks that could prevent you from achieving your target. I would have showed you something similar to this yesterday. Once you look at all your initiatives, you want to ask yourself the question, what do I need to do right now? What do I need to do? What are the things that are priority? And as we shared, if you're talking about updating the product branding and your packaging, you're going to be thinking of refreshing your photos. Which one comes before the other? Those are questions that you want to ask yourself, and prioritize, assign owners, and set timelines. These timelines now become the ones that you're monitoring in January and February. So when you call a meeting, you're not just asking, oh, how is the product revamp going? No, you're asking, did we update the branding and the packaging? Are we ready to refresh the photos and the videos? Have we started reaching out to persons about testimonial? You're being very direct and you're also being very focused. The persons, remember yesterday, one of the things we said, execution failed because the persons, sometimes they don't know what success looks like. They don't know what done looks like. Done looks like we have reached out to the persons and we have persons confirmed for testimonial. So that's one of the things that I want you to think of. And the last thing is identify the risk. Identify the risk. If you don't identify it, you can't manage it, you can't prepare for it, you can't plan for it. So for example, if we're looking at our increased sales target, one of the risks we can think of is low lead generation, fewer inquiries or book calls than expected. It's possible. I also have that as a target. So if it is that, and when I went through, I'm going to give you one example, my personal example. When I look at generating leads, hey guys, thank you for coming on. When I look at generation of leads, I say to myself, okay, Michelle, this is the number that you're working with. This is going to take a lot of effort. I could be generating lower leads than I planned for. How can I mitigate and how can I manage that? Maybe I can partner with a company who is already serving my ideal clients. That now puts me in, I don't know if you're familiar with the term one to many. So if you have a company that's serving your clients, if you target this company, then you have a greater chance of reaching most of your clients. And that way, should you run in a situation where lower leads are being generated, you have this strategy that you've already implemented to mitigate against this risk. Let me know if you're understanding. So that is why looking at your targets and asking yourself those questions is very, very important. Thank you guys for coming on. Let me know where you're joining from. So for this example, the impact on the goal would be that slower sales are generated, so your pipeline isn't growing, and it's reducing the likelihood of you hitting your quarterly target. Now remember that this is a lead indicator. If I don't do this, then I may not grow. My revenue may not increase at the rate I'm planning for it. So how do I manage or mitigate? You can increase your outreach activities, optimize your landing page, improve your messaging. You can run a campaign, review your indicators weekly, or you could do something like what I am doing, depending on your business. This is just a generic example, but depending on your business, you may think of, how can I reach somebody else? What can I do if my lead generation is low? Marketing content not producing engagement or conversion, that's a potential risk. The impact on the goal, you're going to be, your visibility is reduced, your funnel is going to be weak, because remember, your marketing is going to impact persons probably clicking your newsletter or deciding to book a call or seeing you as an expert. As such, that's something that you want to look on. You're going to be testing new content, testing the content before you probably even decide that you're going to be doing a campaign. Sales agent not following up consistently, risk, impact on your goal. Warm leads are going cold, your pipeline stalls. You're going to implement a weekly follow-up checklist to ensure that your agents are doing what's needed to be done. All right. So those are some examples of how it is that you can ensure you're managing your risk. I think the live for tomorrow is the one where we're going deeper into risk management. This is not one that I think a lot of companies do. And even if we do it, we don't review. We decide that we're going to just make it, we review it when we can. But I want you to, yes, developing risk registers, what we're doing tomorrow. So we're going a little bit deeper in it tomorrow. But when you think of planning, as you go into your team discussions and building out your execution plan a little bit more, I want you to think of what could prevent this from happening. What could prevent this from being a success? And you're implementing strategies. And that's your assignment for today. So look back at the plans that you've created, identify anything that could prevent your goals from being accomplished, and make note of them. Tomorrow, we're going to go in a little bit further, what you do with it and how you ensure and monitor these goals that you've agreed on and manage these risks. And if it's something that maybe you have risks that you can't do anything about, but for those that you kind of want to implement something. So that's your action item for today. I hope this helps you. Do you have any questions? Any questions from anyone? Okay. Alrighty. So I'll see you tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for joining. I hope you found this helpful. And you can always comment below and ask any questions that you have, and we'll respond. All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye.